Three rides Aachen will be my next race, and I'm just back from picking up my starting number 1435, which also happens to be exactly my lucky number. The weather conditions are beautiful this weekend, so I expect the course to be super dry and super fast. My legs are also feeling great, so with just a little bit of luck I might be able to qualify me for the World Championships this time. Now let's cut to the chase and let's race.
Zehn, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Sekunde. Startball für den nächsten Start.
And while the gun time has already started, it's going to take some time before we are going past the starting line. Welcome back everybody to another one of my race recap videos. For those who are new to this channel, I compete at the amateur level, and in these races we are going to look back at the key moments of each race, analyze the decisions I made and learn from all the mistakes that I will make. If you are competing at the elite level and think I'm too good for this, don't go just yet. Your insights in the comments are so valuable, so please stick around, share your expertise and let us learn from your experience. So let's get started. It took me more than 50 seconds from gun time until I got across the starting line, which means that the rider starting at the front had already got a 50-second gap to myself, as these UCI races use gun time until finish as the official ending time. I started at position 370 out of the 526 riders in my age category. So only the top 130 riders get a ticket for the World Championships. This meant that I had to overtake at least 240 riders without being overtaken by a single rider. But at the time I thought I was riding around position 200, so the morale was still high. Had I known that I had to move up 240 positions in the rankings, this would probably be a different story. I arrived 50 minutes before the start of the race and I was able to get to this position. So I think the riders at the front arrived over 1.5 hours before the start of the race, which is pretty insane. Especially compared to previous year, when I arrived half an hour before the start at UCI Gravel, and there I started in position 75 out of the 470. So that gives us some idea of the growing popularity of gravel racing and the rising level of competitiveness. Now it wouldn't be another UCI Classic if they hadn't put a climb at the start of the race. As the map here shows, you can see that we are climbing 130 meters in the first 5 kilometers of the race. One lap consists of 42 kilometers and 400 meters of elevation, and we had to do 3 laps totaling 126 kilometers and 1200 meters of elevation. So during this first climb I knew I had to do this climb 3 times, so I wanted to pace myself and not blow myself up at the start of the race. At the time I had no clue as to how many riders started in my age category or at what position I needed to finish for qualification. Because in less than 16 hours prior to this race I wasn't even registered. This might need a little explanation. The organizers at 3 Rides Gravel had the great idea to organize two different UCI races with the same length and almost the same name on the same day. In the morning there was the UCI Gran Fondo of 120 kilometers, and in the afternoon there was the UCI Gravel Fondo of 120 kilometers. All communication had been in German, and I did not become aware that there were two entirely different races at the same day. It was only when I received my starting sign that I realized the word gravel was not mentioned on it. So I looked up the emails, translated the information, and then I saw that I registered for the wrong race. Later I heard that when something had gone wrong with the initial payment for registration, you would receive an email with the registration link for the road race by default. So that is where it had gone wrong for me. Luckily, this had happened to many other riders, so they were able to fix the issue for me within 1 minute. But the half hour leading up to this moment had been one of the most stressful in my life. Now let's get back to the race. If I had a good day, I would probably be able to finish this race within 4 hours plus a few minutes. But it was super hot for this early in the season, around 26 degrees, and probably not many riders, including myself, were used to these temperatures. So let's see how the story unfolds. And here I was able to take a nice shortcut, moving up around 15 positions. Really nice that it worked so well, but now I found myself pretty stuck at this point because we were going through this city park, and I'm not quite sure whether these roads were designed for cyclists. I think most of this part was normally a walking only area. So you can see that the road is super small and it's really hard to move up a few positions here. But I was feeling pretty okay, heart rate not too high, can go to 186 and it's currently only 172. This is also a pretty strange part, no signs of where to go to or whatsoever. Luckily I was in a big group so I could just follow the guys in front of me, but I heard that the elite riders, the front of the group, had gone in the wrong direction multiple times. Luckily I didn't notice much of that. And here we were stuck in this traffic jam, losing even more time to the riders in the front. In the next few Ks not much will happen because the roads are just too small and not much will change in my position here. We get stuck a few more times and we were just cruising through this beautiful park. And so in the last few Ks not much has changed until we are going to hit this next climb, second climb of the race. Pretty short but pretty steep with 50 meters of elevation, and this is the typical VO2 max climb. So I'm not going all the way here, trying to pace myself again. Many other riders think otherwise. They just go all the way here and go pretty fast uphill. And how I know that some of these riders went all the way is because they parked themselves after the climb. So it was really easy for me to catch them back right after this climb. So let's fast forward to that section. that is already the end of the climb. I averaged around 400 watts and had some gas left in the tank. Here you can see the guys that blew themselves up during the climb, so that was pretty easy to catch them back, but I lost a lot of time to the faster group I was with at the start of the climb, so I needed to make an effort to catch them back. Luckily they weren't going super fast anymore, probably recovering from the climb, and I was getting in a comfortable aero position, and without too much extra effort I found the group again. Not sure if this was the best strategy, so if you think I should have stayed with the group and I should have pushed a little extra during the climb, please let me know in the comments below. And here you see that I'm really the last one that made it to the next group, because the distance to the group behind us is already pretty big. And now you see that they are trying to make a big effort to get back to the group I'm with at the moment. But unfortunately, the front one in their group goes down in that corner, so it became much harder for them to catch us back. And here in the front of me almost another crash happened, because the guy in the front just cuts off the other guy. But let us quickly look back to the previous crash, because so much is happening there. We've got the cameraman sitting at a perfect angle, we've got someone else who just crashed, and now the other crash also happened. So I'm really curious how many crashes that photographer was able to capture. Now this is also going to be an interesting part, because I found myself now in the front of this group of riders. We were with around 10, and yeah, I basically stayed at the front of this group a little too long. I was feeling pretty comfortable, I was getting in an aero position, not doing too many watts, but we were going pretty fast. But the only problem was that no one else really felt like moving to the front. So I was wondering, how can I encourage the others more to get faster to the front and make it all work together, so we can catch the group in front of us more easy. And then finally this guy starts taking over. He was a pretty fast rider, probably the best of the group I was with, and no one else followed his wheel immediately, so I had to get back to his wheel on my own. And he was giving a really good pull here. But yeah, I was still at the second position, and now he's signing, okay, now you go to the front. I told him I just went to the front, so let someone else take a pull here. And now I was slowing down a bit, so then finally someone else took over for 5 seconds, and then it was my turn again. And now finally the others were taking over. Now I made a mistake. I let myself fall back into the group just a little bit too much, and I'm not sure what happened here, but the guys in front of me are now losing touch with the fast rider of the group. So not sure how that happened, but he is now away. Not the best organization here, but yeah, sometimes German people are talking German here and Dutch people are talking Dutch back, so later on I also was working together with the French guy who started to talk French to me, and I don't speak a word French, so these things make it really hard to work together. So I think it would be best to just all try and talk English if you want to work together. So for the rest of lap number 1 I went into energy saving modus because we had still 2 more laps to go and I didn't want to burn all my matches yet. So let's skip to lap number 2. As you just have seen, I was able to move up some positions without doing too much effort. That probably illustrates how far I was behind. And now I'm starting the second lap out of the 3 laps we had to go. And some people wanted to switch bottles at this point, but I'm not sure whether this was the best location to do that because we're pretty deep in the gravel. And here it almost went wrong. The guy in front of me takes the water bottle and then drops it and then immediately hits the brakes. I was lucky that I was able to just avoid him, but if I was riding a little closer, I might have crashed into him. We saw many empty water bottles lying on the course here and many riders were trying to avoid these, leading up to dangerous situations. So, shall I show you how you should change a water bottle? Alright, so the guy in the front is going to show us what a smooth water bottle switch looks like. First he takes the new bottle, then he puts the new bottle in his mouth. Then he takes the old bottle out and drops it off the course, right before he grabs another fresh bottle. Then he puts the newest bottle in the frame and now he can enjoy his 2 new fresh drinks. I myself have never done these switches as I bring 3.5 liters of liquids to the start of each race. Do you think that switching water bottles could be the difference between a qualifying race or a non-qualifying race? I would love to hear your strategies with regards to drinking during races. Now I think I am riding at a pretty okay position here, but I still need to overtake a lot of riders for the qualification. Here I'm going over the first climb again, still pacing myself and slowly climbing the rating ladder. And now we go a little bit faster through this video as we are riding the same roads, but now for the second time. So here I was, really hurting when going up this steep climb for the second time. But then, someone very familiar came saying hi.
Hey, it's the legend! No way!
It was the legend. And for those who don't remember him, he saved my last race from a further downfall with one of his gels. And I just got a little extra energy to follow his wheel. A few kilometers later, I found myself in front of a group and I was feeling amazing at this point. I had overtaken many riders, I had almost done the first half of the race and I was still feeling good. My nutrition was on point and I was slowly but steadily riding myself into a qualifying position. And then, French guy comes flying by and I had just enough left in the tank to follow his wheel. He said something in French but I still have no clue what it meant. This guy was just sending it, taking us both to the next group. I think he was a top 10 rider of the age group 40 to 45, so he must be super strong. I had to do over 500 watts to just stay in his wheel, so I knew I had to let him go at a certain point. But for now it felt pretty good. And so in the next few cases we just switched the front position, so sometimes I was doing the pull and then he took me over, and we worked pretty well together to get to the next group. So then we made it to the next group, and now we could take some nutrition in, get the heart rate down a bit, but then French guy already starts taking over some of these riders in this group. And then I thought, hey, then I also need to do to ride more to the front of this group. And here I started to take some risk, going downhill on the gravel instead of the paved road, which worked pretty well. Until I got cut off by some guy, unfortunately, but I still could overtake him. Then I saw Tessa Navius riding. She was the winner from the elite female in the Gravel Fondo Limburg, and there she rode a qualifying time for the male riders as well. So, and she started 3 minutes earlier than us. So I thought, okay, if I'm in the same group as her, I must be in a really good position at the moment. And then French guy is already done with this group and he wants to move to the next one, so I just grabbed his wheel and thought, okay, let's go to the next group. And we just got the next group of riders. Unfortunately, I lost French guy in the process, but that didn't matter because he was going too fast for me anyway. Here I got lucky with the best line because all the lines on the right had slower riders in front of them, so I was able to move up a few positions and I was just feeling great. But the higher you fly, the deeper you fall. Unfortunately, I had been flying a little too close to the sun and I lost my focus for one tiny moment. So this crash hurt quite a bit, but I was able to get on my bike pretty quick. During the crash it looked like I overstretched one of the muscles in my legs because my legs were now started cramping and I had so much more trouble to hold on to the groups I was with, and my legs just didn't seem to work anymore. A few moments later my Wahoo mount got loose, so I had to stop and fix it, which took way too much time and I was losing a lot of positions. During the last round it happened again, and then there was just no way for me to get a qualifying position anymore. So let's move over to the finish.
So I just finished the 3 rides Aachen Gravel Fondo. I'm completely exhausted. I fell down around kilometer 75 or something. All bleeding everywhere, lost the bottle again. But enough about that. You are here for the data overview. So let's look it up. 4 hours and 20 minutes, 125 kilometers. Average power 223 and normalized 280. So I think that's an okay result after everything that happened. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, and see you in the next episode. Cheers!
Pedal to the metal, subscribe to the channel. Join every race and be part of a chase. Become a fan of the flying gravel man. Join the family and make a wheelie. Share it with your cycling buddies.